The massive alien ship drifted silently above Earth's moon, its hull gleaming like polished metal in the starlight. Inside the command center, Commander Vexstar studied the blue and green planets spinning slowly below. His 6 eyes blinked in sequence as data flowed across the holographic displays. "Report," he commanded, his voice a low rumble that vibrated through the ship's walls. Lieutenant Zalkex, younger officer with bright purple skin, stepped forward nervously. "Sir, we have completed our scan of the 3rd planet. The inhabitants call it Earth. They are a bipedal species that calls themselves humans." Vexstar's mandibles clicked with amusement. "And their technological level? Very primitive, sir. They've only recently discovered nuclear energy. Our fastest ships can barely escape their planet's gravity. Our analysts estimate they are at least 2,000 years behind our most backward member species." The commander leaned back in his chair, satisfied. For 3 centuries, the hegemony had been searching for worlds rich in rare minerals. Earth was perfect. It had everything they needed and inhabitants too weak to stop. Them, excellent. Deploy the harvester platforms immediately. Standard extraction protocol, take what we need and leave. "Sir, what about the inhabitants?" Vexstar waved a dismissive hand. "Irrelevant. Post a single observation satellite to monitor them. These creatures are no more dangerous than the livestock on Felter Prime." On Earth, Dr. Jimin Park sat alone. In the Sol Observatory at 3 in the morning, he rubbed his tired eyes and took another sip of cold coffee. The radio telescope had been picking up strange signals for the past week, but tonight, something was different. Much different. The readings on his screen made no sense. Massive objects were appearing in Earth's orbit, materializing out of nothing. Jimin adjusted the instruments twice, hoping for equipment failure. The readings remained the same. "This is impossible," he whispered to himself. But the objects were real. Huge metallic structures, each one larger than a city, hung motionless in space above Earth. As Jimin watched in growing horror, smaller ships began detaching from the main structures and descending toward the planet's surface. He grabbed his phone with shaking hands and dialed the emergency number for the Korean Space Agency. "This is Dr. Park at Seoul Observatory. I need to speak with Director Kim immediately. We have a situation." Across the world, other astronomers were making the same terrifying discovery. In less than an hour, every major government on Earth knew that humanity was no longer alone in the universe. President Min-ho Lee stood in the underground Situation Room beneath Seoul, watching satellite feeds from around the globe. The alien structures had positioned themselves over major cities on every continent. London, New York, Tokyo, Mumbai, Cairo, all under the shadow of enormous alien machines. "Have they made any attempt to communicate?" President Lee asked his Defense Minister. "None, sir. They ignore all radio transmissions. They simply ... descended and began working." On the main screen, they watched as massive mechanical arms extended from the alien platforms. The arms moved with terrifying precision, tearing into the Earth's surface like a farmer plowing a field. Buildings crumbled. Forests disappeared. The machines carved enormous holes in the ground, extracting minerals and loading them into floating cargo containers. "They're strip mining our planet," whispered General Sun Mi-choi.
"Oh.
"They're treating Earth like an empty rock."
Oh.
President Lee watched a harvester platform destroy half of downtown Lagos in its search for rare Earth deposits. The machine moved through the city as if the 8 million people living there didn't exist. It simply pushed aside everything in its path. "Get me the other world leaders on secure channels," the president ordered. All of them now. Within hours, emergency sessions were convening in every capital on Earth. The United Nations Security Council met in emergency session. Military leaders studied satellite images and tried to understand technology that seemed to violate the laws of physics. In Beijing, Premier Yu Jinzhong watched alien drones the size of aircraft carriers harvesting iron ore from Chinese mountains. "How many ships do they have?" "Our best estimate is over 300 harvester platforms, sir, plus support vessels and what appear to be automated defense systems and their capabilities? The intelligence officer's face was grim. Unknown, sir. But they moved those platforms into position faster than our satellites could track. Whatever technology they possess, it's far beyond anything we have. Back on the alien command ship, Commander Vexstar reviewed the initial harvesting reports with satisfaction. The operation was proceeding exactly as planned. The humans had made no significant attempt to interfere with the harvesting. A few of their primitive aircraft had approached the platforms, but none had dared to attack. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Zalkex, "the humans appear to be having some kind of planetary conference. All their governments are communicating with each other. Let them talk." Vexter laughed. "What can they possibly do? Their weapons are crude chemical explosives. Their ships cannot even reach our platforms. By the time they organize any response, we will have taken everything of value and moved on to the next world." The commander turned back to his displays, already planning the next phase of the harvest. He had no idea that below him, 8 billion humans were about to prove just how wrong it was possible to be. The hegemony had made their first and last mistake about humanity. They had assumed that intelligence meant weakness. Captain Minsu Han gripped the controls of his F-16 fighter jet as he climbed toward the massive alien structure hanging over Busan. The metal giant was 3 kilometers long and 1 kilometer wide, its surface covered in moving parts that looked like mechanical tentacles. For 3 days it had been carving up his city, and nobody had done anything to stop it. Tower Control to Eagle 7 crackled his radio. "You are not authorized for this mission. Return to base immediately." Minsu switched off his radio. He had watched the alien machine destroy his childhood neighborhood that morning. His parents' house was gone. His old school was gone. Everything he had grown up with was being fed into the machine's metal belly. The harvester platform detected his approach and sent out a small drone to investigate. The drone was the size of a bus, moving through the air without any visible means of propulsion. It scanned Minsu's fighter with beams of blue light, then seemed to lose interest and turned away. "They think I'm harmless," Minsu realized. "Think my plane is just another bird." He armed every missile he carried and dove toward the harvester's main body. The machine's surface was covered in what looked like intake vents, probably for processing the materials it collected. Minsu fired all 6 missiles at the largest opening he could see. The explosions were smaller than he had hoped. But something important must have been damaged. The harvester platform shuddered and began to list to one side. Warning lights flashed across its surface. The mechanical arms stopped their digging. Then Minsu saw his chance. A section of the hull had been torn open by his missiles, revealing a chamber filled with pulsing blue light. Without hesitation, he pushed his fighter into a final dive and flew directly into the opening. The explosion that followed lit up the sky for 50 kilometers. The harvester platform broke apart and crashed into the bay, sending tsunamis racing toward the shore. But for the first time since the aliens arrived, one of their machines had been destroyed. In underground bunkers around the world, scientists worked frantically to analyze pieces of the wreckage. Dr. Soman Park led a team of engineers in a secret facility beneath the Korean mountains. They had only fragments to work with, but every piece told them something new about their enemy. "Their whole material is incredibly strong," Dr. Park explained to the emergency council via secure video link. "But it has a weakness. The molecular structure breaks down when exposed to certain electromagnetic frequencies." "What about their power source?" asked President Lee. "That's the interesting part. They use crystalline energy matrices that are actually quite simple once you understand the principle. We think we can replicate the technology." "How quickly?" Dr. Park looked at her exhausted team. They had been working for 72 hours straight. "Give us 1 week. You have 3 days." Across the globe, similar scenes were playing out. In American labs, British research facilities, Chinese military bases, and Russian science institutes, the greatest minds on Earth were working to unlock alien technology. But they were also doing something else. They were preparing for war. The death of Captain Minsu Han had shown the world something important. The aliens could be hurt. They could be killed. and they had made a fatal mistake in underestimating humanity. Commander Vexstar stared at the casualty report in disbelief. A primitive human aircraft had destroyed a Class 7 harvester platform. The pilot had deliberately crashed into the machine, using his own vessel as a weapon. What kind of species did such things? "Sir," reported Lieutenant Zalkex nervously, "we're detecting massive activity across the planet's surface. The humans appear to be mobilizing their entire civilization. Mobilizing for what? They have no weapons that can threaten us. Sir, our surveillance drones report that their industrial facilities are being converted to military production. They're also digging extensive tunnel networks and moving their population underground." Vexter's mandibles clicked in irritation. "They want to hide in holes? Let them deploy the security fleet. 12 warships should be more than enough to pacify this primitive world." But the humans weren't just hiding. In factories across Earth, production lines that had built cars were now building weapons. Dr. Jinwoo Kim watched as his automotive plant in Ulsan completed its first batch of hybrid missiles, combining human explosives with reverse-engineered alien guidance systems. "The warheads are crude," he told his team, "but the targeting systems are incredibly precise. We can hit specific components on their ships." Similar weapons were being produced in every major industrial nation. The humans had taken their enemies' technology and adapted it for war in ways the aliens had never imagined. President Lee stood in the command center, watching global military preparations. Every nation on Earth was working together for the first time in human history. Enemies were sharing technology. Ancient rivals were coordinating battle plans. "They gave us 3 days," she said to her advisors. 3 days to prepare. They have no idea what humans can accomplish when we're fighting for our survival. General Sunmi Choi pointed to the tactical display showing alien fleet movements. "Sir, their warships are entering our solar system. 12 vessels, much larger than the harvester platforms. Are we ready? As ready as we can be in 3 days? Our new hybrid weapons are untested, but our models suggest they should be effective." President Lee nodded. "Then let's show these aliens what happens when you corner a predator." High above Earth, the hegemony fleet moved into attack formation, confident in their technological superiority. They had no idea they were about to face an enemy that had just learned how to bite back. Admiral Sujin Hong stood on the bridge of humanity's first warship. Watching the alien fleet approach Earth, the ship beneath her feet had been built in just 8 days. Using metal torn from the crashed harvester and technology reverse-engineered by Dr. Park's team, it was ugly, crude, and cobbled together from spare parts, but it was theirs. Contact report called Lieutenant Yi-Hoon Kim from the sensor station. 12 enemy vessels, each one 5 times larger than our biggest ship, are moving into attack formation. Admiral Hong studied the tactical display. The alien ships were beautiful, sleek vessels that moved through space like dolphins through water. Her own fleet looked like a collection of flying scrapyards by comparison. 50 ships built from Earth's industrial might, each one different, each one designed by desperate humans with no time for elegance. "They still think we're primitives," she said quietly. "They have no idea what we've become in the last week." Around Earth's orbit, the human fleet waited. Factory ships hung beside military vessels. Converted cargo haulers flew next to experimental fighters. Every ship carried weapons that no alien engineer had ever imagined, because no civilized species would have thought to build them. Commander Vexstar looked down at the human fleet from his flagship and laughed. "Look at them, Zalkex, their ships. Look like they were built by children playing with metal scraps." "Sir, our sensors are detecting unusual energy signatures from their vessels. Their weapon systems don't match any known configuration." "Of course they don't. They're primitive. They probably strapped chemical explosives to their hulls and hoped to ram us." Vexstar's confidence was absolute. "Begin the attack. Target their largest vessels first." The hegemony fleet opened fire with particle beams that could slice through asteroids. The beams struck the human ships and bounced off harmlessly. Alien weapons, designed to penetrate conventional armor, were useless against the electromagnetic barriers that Dr. Park's team had developed. "Our shields are holding," reported Lieutenant Kim with amazement. "Their weapons can't get through." Admiral Hong smiled grimly. "Now let's show them what human creativity looks like. All ships, execute pattern alpha." The human fleet scattered in all directions, moving in ways that violated every rule of space combat. Instead of maintaining formation, they attacked individually, each ship using different tactics. Some launched clouds of tiny missiles that swarmed around the alien vessels like angry insects. Others fired focused plasma beams at specific components. A few simply tried to ram the enemy ships at maximum speed. The chaos was deliberate. Human military doctrine had been rewritten in the past week by officers who understood that their enemy expected civilized warfare. Instead, they gave them something that looked like organized madness on the surface of Earth. The transformation was even more dramatic. Engineer Hyunwoo Park walked through what had been Seoul's largest shopping mall just 1 week ago. Now it was a weapons factory. Stores that once sold clothing now produced ammunition. The food court had become an assembly line for hybrid energy weapons. Production report, he called to his shift supervisor. We're ahead of schedule, sir. The new plasma rifles are rolling off the line at 2,000 units per hour. The orbital defense platforms will be ready for installation tonight. Hyunwoo nodded and moved to the next section, where teenagers who should have been in school were programming guidance systems for smart missiles. The entire human race had become a weapons factory. They were all working with the desperate efficiency of people who knew their species' survival depended on their efforts. Back in space, the battle was not going as Commander Vexstar had planned. His fleet's superior firepower meant nothing when the enemy refused to fight conventionally. Human ships attacked from unexpected angles, used their own vessels as shields, and employed tactics that no military academy in the galaxy would teach. "Sir, we've lost 3 ships," reported Zalkex, his voice strained. "The humans are using some kind of viral attack program that turns our own systems against us. Impossible. Our computer systems are quantum encrypted. Sir, they're not trying to break our encryption. They're physically boarding our ships and reprogramming them from the inside." Vexstar stared at the tactical display in horror. Human fighters, little more than armored boxes with rockets attached, were ramming into his warships and depositing boarding parties. The humans inside were tearing through his ship's corridors with weapons that shouldn't exist, taking control of critical systems with a speed that defied belief. Dr. Yoon Mi-yoon watched from her command post deep beneath the Sahara Desert as human forces overwhelmed the alien fleet. Her breakthrough in faster-than-light communication had allowed Earth's defenders to coordinate their attacks with precision. That surprised even her. "Admiral Hong," she transmitted to the flagship, "we're picking up distress signals from the alien fleet. They're trying to retreat." "Negative," came the reply. "We're not letting them run back to their friends. Pursuit teams, follow them home." The words sent a chill through every alien survivor. These humans weren't just defending their world. They were hunting. As the last alien warship exploded in a brilliant flash of light, Admiral Hong surveyed the debris field that had once been the pride of the hegemony fleet. Around her, human ships moved through the wreckage like scavengers, collecting technology and taking prisoners. "Send a message to Earth," she ordered. "Tell them the orbital battle is won." But this war is just beginning. In the depths of space, human ships, equipped with captured alien navigation systems, prepared to carry the war to the enemy's home territory. The sleeping giant had awakened, and it was very, very angry. Captain Dong-Yoon Lee watched through the stolen alien ship's view screen as the hegemony supply depot grew larger. The massive space station had operated for 300 years without a single attack. Its defenders had grown lazy, confident that no enemy could reach this deep into hegemony territory. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "Remember the plan?" Dong-Yoon told his crew of 20 humans crammed into the alien vessel. "We're not here to hold ground. We're here to send a message. Hit them hard, take what we can, and get out." The ship they flew looked exactly like a hegemony. Transport from the outside. But inside, human engineers had packed it with weapons that would make alien commanders wake up screaming. The humans had learned something important about their enemy. The hegemony fought by rules. Humans didn't. "Request approved," came the alien voice over the communication system. "Base 7 is clear for approach." Dong-Yoon smiled. The station's security officers had no idea they were about to dock with a ship full of Earth's most dangerous soldiers. The transport settled into the docking bay with a soft thud. Dong-Yun waited exactly 30 seconds, then triggered the first. Surprise. Explosive charges blew out the ship's hull in 6 places simultaneously. Inhuman soldiers poured into the station like water through a broken dam. The aliens had never seen warfare like this. The humans moved through the station's corridors with brutal efficiency, destroying critical systems and capturing essential supplies. They used the station's own ventilation system to spread sleeping gas. They turned the artificial gravity against the defenders. They fought like creatures that had evolved to kill, because that's exactly what they were. On the bridge of the supply depot, Station Commander Velthar watched his security forces fall back in confusion. How many attackers are there? Unknown. Sir, they're moving too fast for our sensors to track accurately. Estimate between 20 and 50 individuals. 50. 50 soldiers are taking a station defended by 3,000 of our people. The answer came 12 minutes later, when the humans vanished as quickly as they had appeared, leaving behind a station that would take months to repair and a crew that would never feel safe again, back on Earth. President Min-Ho Lee sat in the war room, studying reports from similar attacks across hegemony space. In just 2 weeks, human strike teams had hit 17 targets using captured alien ships and reverse-engineered technology. The psychological effect is even more important than the material damage, explained General Sumi Choi. The hegemony has never faced an enemy that could strike anywhere in their territory, or having to pull ships back from offensive operations to guard their own supply lines. And our production capabilities? Exceeding all projections, sir. Every factory on Earth is now producing military equipment. We're launching 3 new warships every day, and each one is better than the last. Dr. Soman Park had been working without sleep for nearly a month, leading the crash program to understand and improve captured alien technology. Her laboratory beneath Seoul had become the most important military facility on Earth. We've cracked their navigation systems completely, she reported to the Defense Council. We can now travel faster and more accurately than they can. We've also figured out their communication networks. We're intercepting their military transmissions in real time. What are they saying? Asked President Lee. Dr. Park's expression was grim. They're scared. Their military commanders are calling for retreat from human space. Some of their member species are talking about surrendering. In the depths of hegemony territory, Chancellor Mordok faced the worst crisis in his civilization's history. Reports flooded in from across their empire. Human raiders striking without warning. Supply convoys disappearing. The military bases going silent. How is this possible? He demanded of his council. 6 months ago, these creatures had barely reached their own moon. Now they're operating deep in our core systems. General Kekstar, the hegemony's supreme military commander, looked older than his 800 years. Sir, they don't fight like any species we've ever encountered. They ignore the conventional rules of warfare. They target civilian infrastructure, use captured equipment against us. Every engagement teaches them something new about our capabilities. And what have we learned about theirs? That we severely underestimated them, sir. These humans didn't just develop technology quickly, they developed the will to use it in ways we never imagined. Lieutenant Tai Young Kim, barely 22 years old, became a legend when his boarding party captured an entire hegemony battlecruiser using nothing but determination and improvised weapons. The alien crew, faced with humans who seemed immune to fear, simply surrendered rather than fight creatures they couldn't understand. Strip everything useful from this ship, Tai Young ordered his team as they secured the vessel. Weapons, computers, navigation systems, everything. Then we're taking it home so our engineers can build 10 more just like it. Within days, human shipyards were producing warships based on the captured cruiser's design, but modified with human improvements that made them deadlier than the originals. The hegemony's 12-member species began to crack under the pressure. The Velthari Collective voted to withdraw from the war completely. Zephyrian Council opened secret negotiations with human diplomats. 3 minor species simply fled beyond the galaxy's rim rather than face the creatures from Earth. As human fleets pressed deeper into alien territory, one truth became clear to every species in the galaxy. The humans weren't just winning the war. They were rewriting the rules of civilization itself. Those new rules were written in fire and blood. The apex predator had awakened, and it was hungry. Admiral Sujin Hong stood on the bridge of humanity's flagship. Looking out at the greatest fleet ever assembled by Earth, 300 warships filled the space around her. Each one built from captured alien technology, but designed with human ingenuity. They had come to deliver an ultimatum too. The heart of the hegemony. Admiral, reported Captain Yehoon Kim, we're receiving transmission requests from every major world in this sector. They want to negotiate. Put me on all channels, Hong ordered. Every world, every station, every ship in hegemony space needs. To hear this, her image appeared on communication screens across half the galaxy. Behind her, the human fleet stretched as far as the eye could see. An armada of destruction that had grown from nothing in less than 2 years. I am Admiral Hong of the Terran Defense Force, she began, her voice calm but carrying the weight of humanity's rage. 2 years ago, your hegemony made a simple mistake. You looked at Earth and saw prey. You saw a primitive world ripe for harvesting. You saw creatures too weak to matter. On the hegemony capital world of Zith Prime, Chancellor Mordok watched the transmission from his underground bunker. Around him, his advisors trembled as they calculated the firepower aimed at their civilization. I offer you a choice, Admiral Hong continued. Withdraw all hegemony forces from human space and dismantle every harvester platform you possess. Pay reparations for the damage done to Earth. Accept these terms, and your species will be allowed to continue existing. And if we refuse, Chancellor. Mordok transmitted back, though he already knew the answer. Admiral Hong's smile was as cold as the space between stars. Then you'll learn what it means to be hunted by something that spent 4 billion years learning to be the perfect killer. We evolved on a world where everything tried to kill us, so we learned to kill everything back. You've seen what we can do when we're defending ourselves. Don't make us show you what we're capable of when we're hunting. Dr. Hyun-Woo Kim, the astronomer who had first detected the alien invasion, now served as humanity's chief researcher into alien psychology. He had studied every hegemony species for months, learning their weaknesses. They're not like us, he explained to the human leadership. They evolved in stable environments where cooperation meant survival. They've forgotten. That evolution is about competition. They've forgotten what it means to fight for your life every single day. And we never forgot, added President Min-Ho Lee from Earth, because, on our world, forgetting meant extinction. The surrender came in pieces. First, the Velthari announced their withdrawal from all contested systems. Then the Zephyrian Council voted to recognize human territorial claims. One by one, the 12 species that had once ruled half the galaxy chose survival over pride. But not all of them gave up easily. Commander Vexstar, the alien officer who had originally dismissed humanity as primitive, made his last stand at the UA fortress world of Kethmer. He had gathered the remnants of the hegemony military for one final battle against the human invaders. We cannot let these creatures destroy everything we have built, he told his officers. They are animals. Clever animals, but animals nonetheless. We must make our stand here. The Battle of Kethmer lasted 3 hours. Captain Dong Yun Lee led the human assault using tactics that no civilized species would consider. His ships attacked from 17 different directions simultaneously. They used the planet's own satellites as weapons. They turned the orbital defense platforms against the defenders. They fought with the cold efficiency of creatures that had no concept of fair play. When the fortress fell, Vexstar found himself face to face with the human captain who had destroyed his fleet. You fight without honor, he accused. Honor is a luxury for species that aren't facing extinction, Dong Yun replied. We fight to win, always. The final hegemony resistance collapsed when their homeworld's defense fleet simply refused to fight. The alien admirals looked at the approaching human armada and decided that no cause was worth facing the creatures that had conquered half the galaxy in 2 years. Dr. Soman Park stood in what had once been the greatest shipyard in hegemony space, now converted to produce human vessels. Around her, former enemies worked alongside human engineers, building ships that combined the best of both technologies. They're not our enemies anymore, she told her mixed crew. They're our students. We're teaching them what evolution looks like when it never stops. Engineer Jinwoo Kim watched as the last hegemony harvester platform was dismantled, its parts sent to Earth as part of the reparations agreement. 2 years ago, they thought we were insects, he said to his team. Now, they're paying us tribute. The galaxy had learned a lesson that would echo for thousands of years. There were creatures in the universe that looked harmless, that seemed primitive, that appeared to be easy prey. But appearances could be deceiving. Some species had never stopped evolving. Some species had never forgotten how to hunt. Humanity had taken its place as the apex predator among the stars. The galaxy would never be the same. President Lee's final message to the conquered hegemony was simple. We didn't start this war, but we finished it. Let every species in the galaxy understand this truth. We are not your prey. We never were. We are what prey becomes when it decides to stop running and start hunting. The long night of human expansion had begun,